Good morning to all of you, and welcome to Namaste Village. Welcome to our Thursday morning session. We have some new bright faces here at Namaste Village, and I'm sure there are more out there in Zoom land. We're so excited to join with you. This is what we do every morning. We join in that single intention of wholeness, the realization of one. What else is there to do at this point? But coming together, we strengthen that experience. We allow it to become a real, true identity of wholeness. Not just an idea about wholeness, but the full-on identification of I am within this experience. That's why we're here. And so today I want to share something that I've been not holding back, but seeking clarity on how to share this. But I decided this morning I'm going to go for it. That sound good to all of you? I'm going to go for it. And it's basically going to be explaining a bit more about these especially these, I'm looking for something here. Oh, here it is. Never mind. The master teacher within lessons that we've been sharing. I've only told you half the story of how they enter, of how they emerge. So I've decided this morning I'm going to tell you the rest of the story. It's very interesting. It's not something that I really understand, and I've given up the need to understand. It's more just to allow and to realize that that master teacher within is within each and every single one of us, longing to be expressed, longing to be revealed. Now, for each one of us, that's going to be unique and different, but it will be the same. That same light, the same extension of holiness and grace. It's interesting, though, when that inspired light shines through us, it will always shine through us in a way that is most receivable by the individual consciousness. For example, if you look at A Course in Miracles, Helen Schuckman was an extreme intellectual, a psychologist. So the wisdom, oh my goodness, look who just walked through the door. An angel who was with us at the very beginning, who we haven't seen in years. We'll welcome you later. Oh, what a blessing. Okay, back to what I forgot what I was saying, but I'll see if I can recapture. You know, an angel flies in, it distracts me. I can't help it. It's going to show up in unique ways. And Helen, being a high intellectual and a psychologist, the language of A Course in Miracles comes through that lens, right? If you look at the Course of Love, Mari Perron, it's a different lens. So the same light shines through Mari it's the same information, just more heartfelt, less intellectual. Do you see that? So the light is always going to shine through in a unique way, dependent upon the individual consciousness. So that master teacher within that emerges through each one of us is going to be different for you than it will be for me. So I want to tell you how it's been happening for me, and then I'm going to share something that just came through last night. So in each case, what would happen is I would tune in, I would go within, and I would ask a question. And after I would ask the question, I would suddenly lose consciousness completely. And when I came back into consciousness, this would happen in front of my computer. I would write out a question. For example, the question we're going to deal with today was, what is the highest and fastest way to come into the realization of our true nature as spiritual beings? Then I would close my eyes. And I don't know how much time would go by, a few minutes maybe. Then when I would open my eyes again, there it would be. The whole lesson. Now, we speak sometimes about channeling. Am I claiming that I was a channel of some other entity or consciousness? No, not at all. Because there's only one. What moves through us when we allow, when we get out of the way, which is all that really is, was me stepping out of the way. That single consciousness shines through us, of course in its own unique way. And so that's what I realized was happening. But I had never had anything like that before until very recently, where I would completely lose consciousness and then come to and look at my computer screen. No. And see and read and feel. So I'm going to share, now that you know my secret, I want to share what emerged last night. So once again, here's the question. What is the highest and fastest way to come into the realization of our true nature as spiritual beings? So now let me go ahead and bring this up full screen, and we'll read what the answer is. Here we go. Of course, it's all in your mind. You know that, right? It's all in your mind. The separation you sense in the world is only in your mind, but because your mind is imbued with the energy that created it, you have the power to project what you believe into the world. Did you get that? That's the whole thing right there. The separation that you sense here in the physical world is only in your mind. If you got only that first sentence, you would have the whole thing. But there is a but. There's always a big but somewhere, right? Because your mind is and has been always imbued with the energy, the light, the creative force that created it, you have the power to project what you believe into the world, but you do not have the power to make the impossible real. And separation from love is impossible. Separation from love is impossible. That would mean that the world you think you see is impossible as well. I'm just going to pause here for 1 second. The world you think you see is impossible as well. Those of you who live here at Namaste Village, now and then you see me come out here in this little area because there's a nice clear spot, wearing these funny goggles, VR glasses. And I love grabbing people and say, come over, let me show you this. And the first thing that usually happens when they put them on is, oh my God, the world I think I see is very real when I have these glasses on. And maybe I'll have them walk the plank, and they take an elevator 100 floors up, and the door opens, and they refuse to step out of the elevator. How many here have refused to step out of the elevator? Even though they know that it's not real, it sure does seem real in the moment, doesn't it? But you do not have the power within your mind to make the unreal real. You don't have the power in your imagination to literally be 100 floors up in that moment and have a literal elevator door open with a literal plank. But you do have the power to imagine that, and in imagining that, to feel all of the feelings, all of the emotions that you would feel if indeed that was happening. How many of you have walked the plank and felt like it was really happening? Oh yeah. The funniest person I've ever seen was Jet. That guy right back there. Not that Jet is dramatic. I I would never say such a thing. But he was funny. Even though we know it's not real. So this is what this is saying. Let me bring this back up again. Oh, let's share the screen so everybody can see it. Here it is. Share. Okay. So once again, you do not have the power to make the impossible real, and separation from love is impossible. That would mean that the world you think you're seeing, like wearing the goggles, is impossible as well. This is the easiest way for you to understand the truth that your whole mind knows to be true. The truth your whole mind already knows to be true. The world you see, that you seem to see, cannot be truly seen. It cannot be truly seen. Just like those who were wearing the goggles cannot truly see the plank. They only seem to see. But it can be imagined. The escape from this way of not seeing, that's interesting. The escape from this way of not seeing is simple. Choose to see what God sees instead of what you assert to be real. Let me say it again. Choose to see what God sees instead of what you assert or claim to be real. Then reality itself will collapse time. And you will find yourself, with a capital S, where you have always been. That's the simplicity of salvation. Okay, let's continue. To choose to see what God sees, you must first recognize that your thoughts and beliefs about the world are not based on objective reality, but on your own projections. That makes sense, doesn't it? They're all your own projections. These projections can be influenced by your upbringing, cultural background, personal experiences, and beliefs. They create a filter through which you perceive the world. And if this filter is distorted, which all of our filters are, distorted, your perception will be distorted as well. When you really think about it, this makes total sense. This is why we all see a different world. We think we're all seeing the same world, but we're not. Maybe the physicality seems the same or similar, but what we're perceiving is a different world. You create a filter through which you perceive a world, and if this filter is distorted, your perception will be distorted as well. By becoming aware of this filter and questioning your assumptions, that's the key. By questioning your assumptions, you can begin to see beyond the limitations of your own mind and connect with a greater truth. One way to do this is to practice mindfulness, which involves paying attention to the present moment without judgment. Paying attention to this moment right now without judging it. When you are mindful, you can observe your thoughts and emotions without getting caught up in them. This can help you see them for what they are. Nothing more than passing mental events, rather than mistaking them for reality. By doing this, you can begin to identify the patterns in your thinking that create separation. The patterns in your thinking, this is what creates separation, and replace them with more positive and loving thoughts. That's what breaks the trance. That's what is like taking those glasses off. Oh, wow, I never really was on top of that 100-story building. The trance has been broken. Now I see what can be seen rather than what cannot be seen. That's the shift from ego perception to whole-mindedness. Another way to see what God sees is to cultivate gratitude. We talk about that a lot, don't we? When you focus on what you're grateful for in your life, you shift your attention away from lack toward abundance. This can help you to see the interconnectedness of all things and the blessings that exist in every moment. It can also help you to feel more connected to others and to the world as a whole. The world as a whole. I like that. the whole thing, the whole universe, your whole mind. Not the split mind, your whole mind. One more. Ultimately, the journey to seeing what God sees is a journey of surrender. Surrender, letting go. It requires letting go of your own limited perspective and trusting in a higher power. This can be challenging, as it requires you to relinquish control and embrace uncertainty. However, by doing so, you can open yourself to a deeper level of truth and connection that transcends the limitations of the ego. In this state of surrender, you can experience the love and unity that is the essence of all things. It's powerful. It's real. When you drop into the reality of what you just heard, just surrender into it. There's nothing you need to do. There's nothing that you need to change. Remember, the ego believes that the ego, which is nothing more than the manifestation of your split mind, believes that in order for you to experience what you just heard, what we could call it enlightenment, you must change who you are now. That's the only problem you have. Nothing needs to change to experience the changeless. And you are that. All one needs to do is to realize that we've been seen through a distorted lens, and then through humility, through service, through gratitude, we return to love. We return to the grace that has always been gracing us, loving us, filling us. So, now that I've revealed my secret, I don't know how these things happen, but I know they happen. Before this, I had never had an experience like that where I would just lose consciousness and then I would keep going. I mentioned before, I don't think I finished that thought, this whole idea of channeling something that's outside. That doesn't happen. It's all within. The master teacher is within you now. Now, that may manifest in different ways, in different personalities. Some of us here had a literal master teacher who went by the name Master Teacher. And boy, was he the awakener. But he was within me. He was never out there. He sure seemed to be out there in a body, whacking me upside the head if I said something stupid, which was often. That's the kind of teacher he was. But he was the awakener. But now I see there was never one that was outside of me. He was always the master teacher within, just as it is the same master teacher within each one of us. Call it the Holy Spirit if you want. Call it whatever you want. Most of all, call it you with a capital Y. That's my story and I'm sticking with it. So, Victoria. I'm sure this was a surprise to you as well, so I'm going to let you go ahead and take it from here.
All right, Brother James, I have one question for you. When you go unconscious...
I don't hear you. Hold on a second.
Can you hear me now? I'm unmuted. I'm unmuted over here.
You're unmuted, but...
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Hold on one second, Vic.
All right.
TV's unmuted. This is unmuted. Why can't we hear Vicky?
You hear her? Zoom hears me.
Is my volume down?
Oh, yeah, volume up?
No.
Okay, no, I'm not yet.
I can hear you.
Well, I'll
Thank
tell you what. Here's what we'll do.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Vicky, we can't hear you here.
Okay.
So you're still gonna share, but I'm gonna go ahead and stop this recording. So for all of you who are watching this on Zoom, sorry, you're not gonna be able to hear our sweet Vicky. Oh, you know what? Actually, let me try this. Okay, Vicky, try and talk now. Okay, no, it's not the TV. Okay, so you're going to talk in just a moment. We won't be able to hear you, but we'll watch your beautiful smiling face and watch the light issue forth from within. We won't be able to see her anyway. Okay, so all of you in YouTube land, we love you so much.